Oh, man, you got to play Chicago. Well, this is my theme thing, right? Greg Gaston just told me that Chicago last night at the Botanic Gardens was incredible. They played like for an hour and a half, took a break, and came back and played another hour and a half.
Encore.
And they got a new lead singer. You know, Peter Cetera left years ago, and a guy named Schiff. I can't remember his first name. He was part of the group for the last, 10 years, whatever it is, maybe longer. He retired. So they brought a new guy in. And no offense to Schiff, he was no Peter Cetera. This new guy's supposed to be even better. I'm kind of bummed I missed it, but I got to tell you what we had last night at the Renaissance Center. By the way, if you haven't been to the Renaissance Convention Center since they've redone it, it's beautiful. The art in there is incredible. The space, the way they've done it, is amazing. You've got views of the river. In fact, in the room that we were going into, it butted up against the glass, and you can go outside and watch the sunset over the bridge. And it was a great sunset last night. It was just beautiful. Just a great night. And to listen to D'Angelo Williams talk about what the college experience meant to him, and he was saying things like, no matter whatever happens, I'm always a Tiger. And I know he's been a donor. He gives without really bragging about it. He's been outstanding. There's nobody classier than Elliot Perry. It was fun to just sort of reminisce with him. He mentioned Steve Ballard, who was in the audience. Steve's now been a dentist for years, and what a delightful guy. And all these folks visiting. Mary Lou Johns was brought up by several people. Then she came up, and she gave one of the great speeches, basically saying, this is for my players, my assistant coaches, my trainers. She gave a big nod to El Marone. It was really, really moving. Lionel Hollins in the house. And Lionel, it reminds me when people talk about Memphis, and, he chose to stay in Memphis. He was obviously not from here. What he did, as Ron Tillery, by the way, presented him, and as Ron reminded us, and people forget, but Lionel Hollins was hired mid-season by Michael Heisley to come and coach the Grizz. So here's the deal. Lionel had been an assistant coach, an interim coach. He'd never gotten his real chance to be a full-time head coach. He's coaching as an assistant with the Milwaukee Bucks. This doesn't happen, folks, where a team hires an assistant away from another team in the middle of the season. It was the first time it ever happened. I'm not sure it's the last time it ever happened, too. But Lionel got his chance. Michael Heisley called him as Lionel reminisced. And he said, Hollins, because he said he never called him by his first name. He always called him Hollins. He goes, Hollins, I'd like you to be my coach. I think you'd do a really good job. Would you be willing to be my coach? And Lionel said, yeah, I would. And then it began. And he's the winningest coach in the history of the Grizz. And, maybe he will be surpassed by Taylor Jenkins one day. But at this moment, Lionel Hollins is the winningest. Michael Heisley's family was there, and they were honored, and his daughter came up and spoke. His wife was there. That was moving. All the high school coaches that came up and spoke, representatives of those like Tom Nix and Ken Netherland that were there on behalf of the family, they spoke. It was moving, and these high school coaches, just some of the things they accomplished, like Terry Tippett. Terry Tippett won 900 games. He's the only coach in the history of the state of Tennessee to win 3 state championships with 3 different schools. He got up. He told a funny story. He was out with his wife, and he had to leave because there was a basketball game. And she said something to the effect that you love basketball more than you love me. He goes, well, but I love you more than soccer. Broke up the place. It was great. And I know he's been battling illness, so it was great to see him. It was just a wonderful evening. I got to be up there with Jarvis Greer and with Jeff Calkins, and that was a fun experience as we got to introduce the videos that were done. And Pete Pranica and Jessica Benson did a great job on doing that. The committee did an outstanding job. People, it was a little long, I got to be honest, probably too long, because we inducted 27 people. The committee wanted to do that because we had missed more than a year, really a year, over a year and a half, 2 years. This was a combination of a couple of classes. I don't believe that we should ever have more than 8 to 10 that go in at one time, because it's more special when it's 8 to 10 than it is when it's 27. But I promise you, every one of those 27 were humbled by what they saw. I think the most humbled and happy guy could have been Lauren Roberts. Here's a guy, he's considered one of the greatest putters of his generation. I think one of the greatest putters of the game. Boss of the Moss. You don't get that moniker for nothing. And as I mentioned, I always admire his gritty determination. He was something. But he's such a kind, nice guy. And, he's given back to Memphis junior golf in a big way. Now he's involved sort of with the new OPO, Overton Park Open, and the youth group there. But he was heavily involved in the original First Tee stuff that happened at Pine Hill. And I don't know what they're going to do now, because the entrance to Pine Hill used to be called Lauren Roberts Way. But they're moving that entrance. Now you're going to go to the clubhouse on Mallory. So I am right now telling the mayor or whoever will listen, they need to rename whatever the road is to the new Pine Hill clubhouse to keep Lauren Roberts in there. That is for sure. So, moving night, and I hope those that went to Chicago enjoyed that. Also, it was a big night. It was the Freedom Awards. Fred Smith was honored there as well. So this was maybe the biggest Thursday night in October in the history of Memphis.
A who's who.
It was. It was incredible, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. Now we got Friday. We got football. We're going to talk with Glenn Rogers Jr. about the high school football and his dad. His dad's going to be honored at the Tulsa game 50 years ago. I think it is 50 years ago, 1972. Glenn Rogers Sr. became the first African-American football player at then Memphis State. And what that was like. I know Jarvis has done an interview with Senior. I think it's going to air on the Memphis website, but I think he did some stuff for Channel 5 too. So that'll be interesting, and I will be interested in Glenn's observations of his dad through all of this. Then it's NBA time. The Grizzlies are 6.5-point favorites on the road.
Bad Rockets team, but 6.5 is a lot of points in the NBA. I know it doesn't seem like a lot.
I'm taking the Grizz. Even though they're still not going to be Brooks, there's still not going to be Williams. There's not going to be Triple J. Even with those guys out, give me the Grizz, and I'll give you the 6.5. There's no problem there, because that's a bad team. That is a bad basketball team. I'll tell you who else might be a bad basketball team. We're going to talk NBA with Andy Schiffman. The Lakers. The Lakers are 0-2. Lakers can't shoot. Last night against the Clippers, they were 9 of 45 from three-point range, which actually is worse than the 10 of 40 they were against the Warriors the other night. They can't shoot. You know what they were in the third quarter or fourth quarter when it's crunch time and they're playing good defense to get themselves back in the game?
Yeah, it was terrible. It was like they shot like 20% or something like that, right?
Well, it's 20% for the game.
No, but in the fourth quarter, it was lower than that?
Yes. How low can you go?
Just 11%.
No. How low can you go?
Oh, 0%.
Bingo. 0 for 9 in the fourth quarter. Zip for 9. 20% of their threes that game came in the fourth quarter. They didn't hit one. Do you know how many times? Because they play in the same building. And they can play each other a lot. You know how many times in a row now, Mr. J-Mo, this is your game. How many times in a row now have the Clippers beaten the Los Angeles Lakers?
I'm going to say 8 times.
9 times.
9 times.
9 times in a row. Crazy.
It is. Especially when you think about, I know everyone likes to put the asterisk next to this season, but the Lakers won that bubble championship, 3 years ago now, 3 seasons ago now, so that's not even that long far removed from that. They've been so bad since then.
Did you see, by the way, this is smart. I got to hand the Clippers a big pat on the back here. The Clippers, in coordination with Kawhi Leonard and probably his agent, have decided Kawhi is going to come off the bench. And the way they did this, I admire, because I'm not a big analytics guy. I'm more a gut guy. But they used analytics in this decision. So they don't want to play him more than 20 minutes for a long time, leading up to postseason where he'll play his – he averaged 33 minutes. His goal, I think, is to average 35 minutes at the end of the year when it's meaningful games and into postseason to gradually bring that knee and that ACL back up to normal standards. So they started looking at it, and he wants to finish games because that's the most important time. So he decided, I want to come off the bench. I did it when I was in San Antonio to start my career. I'll do it again. And that way, if you're only going to play me 20 minutes, those minutes will be meaningful. The toughest part for him was he goes through warm-ups, right? I don't think he actually took his first rotation until middle of the second quarter. So he sat out the whole first quarter and like the first 5 minutes or so of the second quarter.
He was the 11th man in the game.
Wow.
11th. But, I mean, you're right, though, in terms of how smart that is. You had 3 guys with 15 starting. Paul George had a double-double last night. Zubats had a double-double. Then John Wall comes in and adds 15, and Kawhi adds 15. There's not second-group players that can guard Kawhi Leonard and John Wall on most NBA rosters. It's a brilliant move.
No, you're right. You're right about that. We got a lot of college football. We're going to do our pick 6 at 6. We're already late for that. That comes your way in a minute. One last thing on college football and the playoffs. You know, the 12-team playoff that appears to be on the verge of really happening could happen as soon as 2024. CBS's Dennis Dodd had texted one of the college football, what do they call that thing? It's not the college football playoff committee because that's a separate entity. It's like the college football playoff management group or something like that are involved in the expansion discussions and all the things.
College football playoff governance committee?
That could be it. I thought it was management, but governance will
Oh,
work
no,
for me.
that's right. The ESPN article calls it the management committee. So
There you go.
It goes back and forth there.
Okay. It's one of those two. They're both one and the same. So here are the hurdles. And according to the committee member that texted back to anonymously to Dodd, is that they really won't know, and they got to figure it all out, and they'll give you a decision in 14 months. So they bought themselves some time. But here's the hurdles. When are you going to play what amounts to, if it's a 12-team playoff expansion, it amounts to 11 games. When are you going to play those 11 games? Would you take on the NFL, or would you do it midweek? And the NFL's already got Thursday games. What will you do there, especially since they've expanded the NFL season, and who knows if they don't go to an 18th game and take away another exhibition game. Although I don't think that seems to be the lean these days, because most people think you really need those practice games. Although they're not playing their stars in the practice games much at all. So
anymore.
It's 6 and 1, half a dozen of the other. So, do you play it midweek? Do you take on the NFL on the weekend? Do you play the early games on campus? Here's the other big part. I don't know if this is window dressing or not. It shouldn't be, but it could be. But they say, if we expand this out, you're talking about conflicts with tests at the end of the semester. Maybe, and this is in their thought process here, which is admirable, maybe what you do is delay it even more till after the semester is over, and you begin it in January when there's the break.
Like when the normal college football playoff would start.
Exactly.
And
but
just
that's
start,
when you would
start all then.
But here's the problem I have with that. Almost every team is done the last weekend of November. You play your championship games the first Saturday of December. Then you don't play again for a month, 5 weeks. That, to me, that's why I think the Bulls aren't really good. First of all, now you got a month before you play, and a lot of these guys go, I'm going to opt out because I don't want to hurt, if you're a junior or senior, I don't want to hurt my chances for the NBA draft. You really haven't played in a while, so it's like a first game. I don't think the quality is great. That would be the problem with that, because this wouldn't be what bowl games would become. I hate to say this. Please don't get mad at me, Steve Earhart at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, but they're exhibition games. They're fun exhibition games, and they're rewards for the players. They get their gift bags. They get a week somewhere like the Tigers had in Hawaii last year, and they get honored. And it's a great thing. I'm certainly not putting it down. But I don't think the quality of the football is as good as if you went, okay, here's a week off. We're starting second week. Boom, you get right into it. And some of those early bowl games, the games that Memphis are involved in, are kind of like that. I don't think there's a huge drop-off there like there are for the later games. All right, that's the latest on the college football playoffs. It is time for us to embark upon our Pick 6 at, we'll say, 10-16.
Still a 6 in there.
Still a 6 in there. Last time we did this, because you were off and I was off, I was 5-1.
Big week.
Big week.
Perfect in college football, I should add.
So that gets me to 13-11. You were 4-2. You've been really good. You are 15-9. So wow, I'm literally 2 games behind you.
That's right. We're all around it.
So I'm still in this thing. That's good to know. All right, so we have 4 college football games. We have 2 NFL games. That's the way we do it. Let's start with Ole Miss at LSU. LSU is now a 2-point favorite. That started, I think, as a 1.5. It's gone up to 2. You know, I know Kelly's a good coach. And I'm worried about the Ole Miss defense because Tank Bigsby just ran right through Ole Miss last week. That's the biggest question. But Ole Miss is 7-0. And Ole Miss's offensive scheme is really good. And the way they can beat you is either running or throwing. They can do both. I just think they're better than LSU. I don't think I had that in the preseason. I thought I had them losing at LSU, but I'm going to amend that. I'm going to take 2 points, and I'm going to take the Rebels.
I'm going to take the same thing. Ooh. I am with you. I was concerned about the way Auburn played last week, especially because I've been watching way too much Auburn football. And that's like the first game all year they decided to give it to Tank Bigsby. I don't know what's taken Arson so long. But regardless, Ole Miss's offense, like you said, is just too good. It's hard to get back on track once you start losing in college football. And I think for that reason, Ole Miss will still win this game. It might be closer than we originally thought, though.
Second game, Cincinnati going to Dallas to take on SMU at Gerald Ford Field. Cincinnati is giving away 3. I'm going road team again. I think Cincinnati is better than an SMU team that I thought was going to be really good to begin the year. New coach, good quarterback. But they've had guys that were talking about shutting down after 4 games to keep their eligibility and transfer. I don't think it's a happy place. And Cincinnati has a coach that has continuity. They're not as good as they were a year ago, but they're good enough to beat SMU. I'll give away the 3 on the road. Give me the Bearcats.
This is a scary one for me because I've bet against Cincinnati a few times and been successful doing it. Everything you said about SMU is true. I do not trust them at all. I don't think they have any kind of significant home field advantage. That being said, I'm taking SMU at home +3.
Okay, so we differ. You're getting my 3. Kansas State at TCU. I don't know about Kansas State. It's a team that lost at home to Tulane, but then has played pretty well at times. I know TCU just seems to be a team coming back. They beat Oklahoma State last week. They're at home, and they only got to give away 3.5. Sonny Dykes, I should say. Sonny Dykes, Spike's the dad. Sonny Dykes, he's a good coach. He's a really good coach. He's got this team playing together. I think they believe in themselves. I'll give away 3.5. I'll take the Horned Frogs.
Well, we're going to differ on this one, too.
All
I
right.
think the Big 12 championship goes through the state of Kansas, and that's not just the Jayhawks. That's Kansas State, too. And I'm going to take Kansas State +3.5 in this one.
Okay, you got it. We differ on 2. I love it. We could be even right there.
That's right.
Final college game, UCLA at Oregon. Oregon is a 6.5-point favorite. I truly believe the way UCLA has been playing, I think the wrong team is favored. I'm taking the Bruins.
I'm also taking the Bruins in this one. All dogs in college football for me this week.
Interesting. Okay, NFL. Indy at the Titans on Sunday. Titans at home, 2.5-point favorites. This makes it tough because that's about right on. It's a home field advantage. That's about what you're getting. It's a pretty even game. I'm going to give a lean to the Titans just because they are at home. I think it's a field goal game. I think they'll win the field goal, and they'll just cover by the hair on their chinny chins.
I want to take the Titans so bad here. I think they can still win. Obviously, 2.5, you can absolutely win the game and not
well, you
cover
know
the
what?
spread.
What's the percentage of winners that cover?
People always say
it's
85 or something.
It's
huge.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I just think that I'm on the Colts this week. I hate that because I want the Titans to win this game. This is a huge divisional game. They need to win if they're going to win the division. But the Colts are playing better. I'm going to take the Colts this week plus 2.5.
Man, one of us is going to be really happy this week. And then finally, Kansas City at San Francisco. Now, the Niners just got a lot better.
They did.
Because they got McCaffrey. Here's my question. Can he play right away?
I believe so, because there was a lot of controversy about fantasy lineups, right? Like whether or not it's ESPN's going to get him over to the new team and on your team in time. So I think he is good to go to play.
Wow. That could change things because I think the Niners are going to be so much better with him. And I think the Niners steal him. You know that when the Charlotte offer first came out for McCaffrey, that the Niners were asked for 2 first-rounders. They gave up 0 first-rounders. For a guy, now I know he's had injury issues over the last couple of years, but when he's good, and he's been good this year, he's been healthy, when he's good, he is really good. I think this makes the Niners maybe the favorite in that division. They've already beaten the Rams, their biggest nemesis. But I don't know if he gets there in time. And I still think Kansas City is the second best team in the NFL behind Buffalo. You can make an argument for Philly. I get it. But they're certainly one of the best 3 teams. And they're giving away only 2. I know it's at Levi Stadium. I think Kansas City's too good. Even with this new McCaffrey, I don't think he's going to be ingrained quite yet. He's not going to know all the plays. I'm sure they'll have a package in there or 2 for him. But I'm going to take Kansas City here.
I think even without McCaffrey, I mean, you add him in and that offense is buzzing. But I think even without McCaffrey, really the only hole I see on the Niners is the quarterback. To be honest, they have a good defense. They have really good skill position players. Deebo Samuel, they put pretty much anywhere they want to on the field to do everything. I'm going to take the Niners at home plus 2. I'm going all dogs across the board this week.
So that is interesting. So we differ now on 1, 2, 4 games.
Right.
Man, there's going to be – you're either going to have a very big lead on me or –
big comeback.
am going to be ahead of you. Those are our picks at 6. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, and a reminder, you can relax at home with this new sale. It's called the Relax at Home sale, where you can get massage chairs. Maybe you'll want to get some brand new theater seating for that big screen TV you may have. Great deals on pool tables, shuffleboard. You can enjoy games with friends. Have them come over. That's the point. All you got to do is go over to I-40 and Whidden Road. That's where Family Leisure is, and that's where family and fun come together. We are also right here because of the good folks at Homer Skelton Hyundai. They're our presenting sponsor. They've been with us for over a decade. It's so good to have good people like Chris True along for the ride with us. And it's a great ride. Their ride is a great ride. That's where I'm going. If you get a Santa Fe or you want to get a Tucson, there's no better product in my mind than Hyundai. And, of course, those Genesis cars. That's the best luxury car on the market. But let's just get back to your opportunities with a Santa Fe or a Tucson. $500 off sticker price. Others are going way over sticker price. You never see that happen at Homer Skelton Hyundai. In fact, on those 2 gems, under sticker price and special financing available. Just go see Chris and all the gang at the corner of Craft Road, first exit in Mississippi at Highway 78. Homer Skelton Hyundai. Back in just a minute, our friend Glenn Rogers Jr. joins us. High school football and more. He's next.
Let former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy take you home every afternoon with Sports Time on Sports 56. Weekdays from 3 to 6 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets. unique fun bet types like Same Game Parlay, and exclusive always-on promotions such as Enhanced Odds Boost on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every game. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started and be sure to sign up with the promo code HAPPY so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code HAPPY. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The patented key ingredient is something called Testofen, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. At work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text JUDGE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text JUDGE to 321-321. That's JUDGE to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder. Depending on how long you've been around, you've likely known my name for 30 years. Perhaps for my 20 years as the morning show on Kix 106 as the Young and Elder Show, or my 15 years at Brian Elder Roofing. So obviously, my reputation means everything to me. One terrible customer experience could tarnish a third of a century of goodwill. My reputation for quality and strong relationships is our main focus. We're the highest certification, a platinum preferred contractor with Owens Corning. If you have a business or a commercial building, we're the highest certification for warranties with GAF and Mulehide products. We don't come at you in sales mode. If you got a problem, sometimes the solution is just to fix the problem. Call me right now. I'll come out and see you today. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in. Can't wait to talk to Glenn Rogers Jr. here in a minute. You know, the real estate market has certainly changed. And according to Sheldon Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf, the rising interest rates have made it more difficult for some buyers to buy what they want, or some sellers even to start rethinking their pricing. So if you're thinking of selling your home, Sheldon likes to say talk to 2 or 3 people. Make sure you talk to one of them, because a lot of people, brokers, will go to him to figure out what exactly is going on. And even when the market is crazy like this, he's got that highly successful strategic marketing program, which goes with what's happening. And let me tell you, he gets the proper price for you. Make sure you do the right things and your house goes. It always does. Call Sheldon, 483-0546, or go to memphisrelocate.com. And this portion of the show is also brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Group. Matt Eflin and his team, there's a bunch of them. They are all about protecting you by getting to know you. That's what they do. It's called collaboration, and nobody does it better than Matt and his team. They're special, and guys like Grant and Andrew and Heath, they're there with Matt to help you. They get to know your family. They know what's important to you. So when you're picking a home program, an auto or life insurance program, they'll figure out what your budget is and what your needs are and protect you the right way. Same thing with commercial insurance. If you've got a small to mid-sized business, They are specialists in that department. Their number, because they're Tiger fans, is 901-386-GER. That's 4777. 901-386-4777. That's the Eflin Insurance Team. Let's head cross town to MUS, and our good friend, that would be Glenn Rogers Jr., who joins us. Now, I want to start with your dad. What an honor he is getting at the Tulsa game, being remembered for 50 years ago, I think, 1972, wasn't it, when he became the first African-American ever to play football at then Memphis State?
Absolutely, Dave, and good morning to all our listeners. And actually, it was the spring of 1968 when he came out, tried out for football, got on the team, and then Stan Davis came on in the fall, and then they both earned scholarships in the fall of '69. And so he was the first, and my brothers and I, all of our family and friends, and his friends, and a lot of his coworkers, we're so proud of him and thankful that he's still alive and in his right mind now to receive this honor and this ceremony that's going to go on November 10th. We're all very excited about it. So and we've been getting a lot of phone calls about it.
I bet. I shortchanged him. It's actually 68 when that occurred, which is even better. I've read some quotes from him. It was not easy. He had to be tough to to be a pioneer like that.
Absolutely, Dave. I mean, you think about it, the great Rosa Parks refused to give up his seat. It's one of those moments. My dad, he didn't look at it, well, he was the first. He just simply wanted to play football. And he wanted to stay at home. My grandmother couldn't afford for him to go anywhere else. So he walked on at Memphis. He didn't even realize that he was the first or the only one. He just, like he said, he just wanted to play. And, he did, experience some tough situations that he was in, and he persevered through them. I mean, think about this, Dave. When you're the only guy there of your color and everybody else around you is of the opposite color, I just can't even imagine, what must have been going through his head in some of those situations that he was in and how strong he had to be to stick through it and not quit. Or not just, get angry and get a temper and just lose it on somebody. So I'm really thankful for that, and we're very proud that he stuck it out and he opened the doors for everybody else. Myself, Isaac Bruce, D'Angelo Williams, all the Tigers, other black players. He opened the door for all of us.
There's no doubt about that, and it wasn't always, as we mentioned, pleasant then. I don't think he had a great relationship when he left Memphis for the first time when he was 22 or 23 years old. It's taken a while for him to really get back in the fold.
But think about this, Dave. No coach has ever asked him to come speak to the team or about recruiting, except for when I played. My nephew's at Miami. He could have been at Memphis. Nobody talked to my dad about that. Nobody really talked to me about it. We conversations, but when you got a granddad that played and an uncle that played, my nephew should have been a Tiger. And so
when you say your
Mike
nephew,
Norvell,
who are you referring to?
My nephew, Kamari Rogers, he's a freshman at the University of Miami. He's out of Holmes County High School down in Holmes County, Mississippi. And my brother was his head coach. And so my hats really go off to Mike Norvell. He asked my dad, he called me and talked to me about my dad. I told him my dad was the first, and he kind of researched it himself and knew that. And he asked us to talk to the team at the Tiger Walk. And that was the very first time a coach, anybody at the school ever approached my dad about coming back over to the fold and talking to the team. And he really had a moment then when we went down to, didn't want to go by himself. He was nervous, but my hats will ever go off to Mike for that. And then Ryan has reached out to him a few times, and so my hat goes off to Ryan too, as well, and Nate Brown. And so this really been a great moment for him, and he feels included, he feels welcome, and his attitude toward the university is a whole lot better because these people here didn't have anything to do with that. So he knows that, and he's embracing it.
Well, I'm glad that he is where he should be, a big part of the University of Memphis history and of the family. I'm really happy about that. All right. Last night, your team was a winner. You guys beat Pure. Pure's had a tough kind of a year, but that was a tough matchup for you guys.
I'm telling you, Dave, Melvin Cole and his staff, they had an excellent game plan. They popped a 98-yard run on us before the half. They were leading us 7-0 on our senior night. And, I mean, it was a dogfight into the fourth quarter. I mean, their defense was stout. They kept us on our heels on offense and as well on defense. And so we got a couple of turnovers. We scored, then we got 2 pick sixes to put the game away. But they gave us all they can handle. And Pierce played one of the toughest schedules in the state, Dave. They played Lipscomb, us, Christian Brothers, Briarcrest, Bartlett. I mean, they played a tough schedule, and those kids, they fight to the end. You got to knock them out. They don't go away quickly. You got to knock them out, and that's what we had to do last night. But my hat's off to Melvin and his staff.
Speaking of knockouts, wow, you had a real heavyweight battle last night, probably the best one on the board. That was Fairleigh undefeated, Freedom Prep undefeated. Fairleigh walked away, still undefeated in a real physical defensive game.
And Fairleigh doing an excellent job, 7-0. And you know what? Think about Fairleigh 7-0, and Whitehaven's been struggling. Those two teams are a rock's throw from each other. So I tell you, my hat's off to Fairleigh staff to keep that train down the track 7-0, and they're going to make a big push in the playoffs, Dave. There's going to be a few teams in this area that's going to make a strong push going down the road to Cookeville.
A lot of games tonight. I'm going to start with a game that's really not that important. Whitehaven at Cordova. It's been a tough year for Cordova. They're 2-6. They haven't won a game in the region. Whitehaven's back to 500. They're the big favorites to win the game tonight. But I want to go back to a really good story that Winston Wilcox from the Commercial Appeal wrote about the atmosphere at Whitehaven and also how it's getting back at Melrose. And they've made this atmosphere sort of to replicate what it's like at HBCUs or what it's like at the Southern Heritage Classic at the Liberty Park. Give me your take on what those atmospheres are like at those kinds of schools.
Well, let me tell you, Dave, when Melrose High School is rolling and it's right in the heart of Orange Mound, a lot of people don't know this. Orange Mound is the third largest black community in the country next to Harlem and Watts. And so when they're rolling, when that football team is rolling and the basketball, boys and girls basketball are rolling, it's a great atmosphere, especially around the stadium during football time. When Tim Thompson had those guys competing, those games were packed, sold out, all kind of tailgating going on, Dave.
Yeah.
The team walked down the street to the stadium, and you just see the crowds there. It was just so electric. And
you know what I liked
now,
about it? I got to tell you this. It always stuck in my head because, for about 17 years I did a high school game of the week, and we always did one at Melrose. And the thing that most impressed me about the atmosphere at Melrose was you would have guys from the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. They would all come back and they would wear their letter jackets from when they played. And, they would sit in their own little groups, each generation. That knocked me out. I thought that was great.
I mean, Dave, I'm telling you, Derek Bobo has got it back rolling, and you're going to start seeing crowds there if he stays there. It keeps the tradition kind of going, and they revitalize the neighborhood. And then Whitehaven, Stan Collins for years, Tommy Harrison before that, now Rodney Salisbury. I mean, Whitehaven is one of the premier programs in this city. And so, like you said, they're struggling this year, but when they're rolling, it's a nice atmosphere. They got a great band. I mean, the community is really surrounded that team. It's just like Orange Mound. And so when those two programs are rolling, game day is one of the most exciting experiences at those two places anywhere in this country.
All right, let me talk about two games tonight. Let me start with Bartlett and Collierville. Bartlett 6-2, Collierville 7-1. The winner of this, I believe, will end up really winning that region, which is 8-6A. How do you break that one down?
Hey, Dave, this is going to be one of the most exciting games tonight. Bartlett is tough. They really play well at home. Collierville, Joe Riccone has to go in there with his young quarterback, Aiden Glover, and try to get a win. This is going to be a knockdown, drag-out, big-time high school football game. It's going to be electric atmosphere over there. Tim Jones is going to have all his faculty and staff there, I'm sure. 'Cause like you said, Dave, they got a lot right. First place on the line and probably shoring up home field advantage throughout the playoffs. This is going to be a heavyweight fight. I'm going to lean more toward Joe Riccone. I think his quarterback can make plays with his feet and his arm. I think they'll go in there and sneak out a win tonight. But I believe it's going to be a tough win. It's going to be hard. Our special teams are going to be huge tonight in that ball game.
So you got Collierville. Some other folks I've seen have Bartlett. I think it's really going to go down to the wire. And the other game, Christian Brothers at Central. That is a very interesting and a pretty even game. Central 5-3, the Brothers 4-4. You knocked them off. What was it, last week or the week before?
Yeah, last week.
You know that, and that's a real rivalry game. You know that team pretty well. How do you think this one breaks down?
Well, I tell you, Christian Brothers, they got the run game going against us. Tailback popped a big 55-yard run. And they did some things defensively that had us confused, especially on our run game, but we got it going. We put together a 22-play drive to kind of get the game in our favor. They had us on our heels in the first quarter because of turnovers, and they moved the ball some. But our offense did a good job of keeping the ball out of their hands. But tonight, they're going against Major Wright. You got to stop the counter with Major Wright and the counter pass. And so if Christian Brothers can do that in a real tough environment, going over to Crump Stadium, playing Central at home, one thing I would just look forward to, can Major stop the run, and can Christian Brothers stop the run? And Christian Brothers has a head problem. So if Major can get going in the ball game, I think Christian Brothers will get it figured out.
So you're picking
that ball game tonight at a tough environment.
You're picking Christian Brothers. Okay. Thank you, my friend, as always. We'll do this again next Friday.
Absolutely. And, boy, big game for the Tigers this week down in New Orleans, David. Looking forward to seeing that ball game. And good luck to the Tigers this weekend.
Thank you much. That is Glenn Rogers Jr., our coach on high school football. He's brought to you by Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. Just a reminder, you want to sleep good at night, you want to know there's no chance of carbon monoxide leaks. And when you get the $69 checkup and you get it for your heating system in the winter, they check that with a little camera. It goes through the system. No leaks. You rest really good at night. I know I do. And I know my house will be warm and efficient because I've done the tune-up. I get it in the spring. I get it in the fall. It's already been done. 384-3511. Get it for yourself. Two reasons why. One, your MLGW bill goes down when your system is efficient. The other is your system lasts longer when it's efficient. And when you get this 16-point tune-up and they clean everything up outside, you can't beat it. 384-3511, Conway Services. Weekends here, Spirit Shop's ready for you. It's time to restock. Yes, sir. You want to go in there and you want to ask Eddie Conner, he's been around since 69, family-owned and operated, about what is the up-and-coming wine, maybe. Maybe you're a bourbon expert, or you like old fashions or something of that nature. You want the best, you want middle ground, you want the up-and-comer, you want a bargain. They got it all. And Eddie will explain the differences on everything. You get an education when you go into the Spirit Shop. If you're looking for the local beers, they have those. They've got everything. Accessories, you want to rim your glass with seasoning? They've got that too. All you got to do is get to Poplar in St. Nick. 4848 Poplar, the little log cabin down from Clark Tower. You can't miss it. The Spirit Shop. When we come back, NBA front and center with our agent in Chicago from Priority Sports. That's Andy Schiffman. He's right around the corner.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. In these uncertain economic times, there are so many things as a contractor and a business owner that I cannot control. The rising cost of materials, not to mention fuel and transportation costs. In the last 2 years, shingle prices have almost doubled, and commercial materials have doubled. And I don't have to tell you what fuel costs these days. But you know what I can control? How much markup I put on a project. I have always prided myself in knowing I never gouge a customer. But in an effort to ensure my crews have work and my customers are being treated fairly, I have lowered my profit margin, hoping to give you a price you can live with and keeping my crews busy. So if you need a roof or gutters, please give us a call. 5 Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 5 Roofing, a proud sponsor of Tiger Athletics and a member of the Tigers home team. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
5 Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
Hey, Mid-South, you want a new ride? We Gossett and Gossett Kia on the Pike. How about up to 35 MPG in the new 2023 Kia Seltos LX SUV? Only $257 a month, 36-month lease, $29.99 to its signing. And get behind the wheel for a real thrill in 2023 Kia K5 LXS sedan. We Gossett $293 a month, 36-month lease, $31.99 to its signing. If you don't see what you want, not a problem. Let Bobby J order a new ride for you today. And you won't pay over MSRP. Plus, get Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia 1900 Covington Pike. Online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we Gossett and Gossett Motor Cars.
Seltos P738-6423, MSRP 25,325, K5 950-6883, MSRP 26,860, PF 695. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Kia. Excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 10/31/2022 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Warranties and limited powertrain warranty. See Kia.com or retailer for details.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
To Chicago we go in a second. Andy Schiffman standing by, brought to you in part by AmeriCare. That's this wonderful place about wellness for those older folks in your family. Look, if you need assisted living or memory care, AmeriCare has 3 places in the Memphis area, and they're about wellness. They really are. If you're interested, you got a family member that you're worried about, we're talking about assisted living and memory care at South Breeze. That's at Hacks Cross Road. In Collierville, it's called Schilling Gardens. And then there's the one in Olive Branch called Olive Grove Terrace on Goodman Road. These places have a wellness philosophy. We all know eating is correct and vitamins and you got to exercise. But mentally, who do you eat with? What kind of company do you have? Are there programs that are geared for you? They got specialized programs. If you have a propensity for falling, they work with you on that specific. And, you know, so much of it is really about the people that you're with. And AmeriCare, smaller units, they really know how to take care of you. So if you want to rest easy and see the best, go visit my friends at AmeriCare. Again, at 3 different locations in the area. South Breeze on Hacks Cross, in Collierville at Schilling Gardens, in Olive Branch. It's Olive Grove Terrace. To Chicago. Let's go. First off, good week for you. You got your Brandon Clark deal done with the Grizz, and if I recall correctly, Sante Aldama is also your client. Now he's a starter. Holy smokes. Who would have seen that from last year?
It is pretty incredible. I appreciate that, Dave. And look, Santi works his butt off. And Zach Kleiman and I were talking yesterday. Pretty great to see the evolution of where he's come. And if Grizzlies fans, and yourself included, me as well, remember his very first summer league game after the Grizzlies drafted the 30th 2 summers ago, when he previously was flying over from Spain, was on the ground no more than 24 hours before he had to suit up and play his first NBA game, and he did not look good. That's for sure. And to see him now, all his hard work paying off, and he's earned it. This is not a fluke. This is not a Taylor Jenkins making this decision saying, hey, we just need a big body to plug the hole while Triple J is out. I mean, Santi has proven to that front office, to those coaches, that he belongs in, I wouldn't necessarily say as a solidified as a starter, because there's no question when Jaren comes back, he's going to take over that role. But Santi has earned a rotational opportunity with the Grizzlies, and he definitely took advantage of that. Wednesday night, it was awesome to see.
Well, did you have a chance to talk with him and that slam, that put down on Julius Randle was pretty darn amazing. And, he got a T for yelling. They thought he was yelling at Randle. I think he was just yelling in joy.
Yeah, he was just kind of pumping himself up. If you recall, I believe they were going into a timeout after that. Look, there's a lot of adrenaline, especially as a young guy like Santi is. Your first NBA start, home opener against the Knicks, close game, all these different factors going into that. So I absolutely applaud Santi for having that fire. I know the Grizzlies staff did too. Like I said, I was talking with their front office, and they all loved it. No one is looking at that play and saying, well, I can't believe you got to know better. Like, that was great to see. It was absolutely terrific of Santi. He played great. I got on him for that last defensive possession where he let Cam Reddish cut to the corner. They were up 3, so a 3 could hurt him. Let him score 2. But that's the thing about Santi. Like, we talked about that play, and he's like, "Yep, I already watched film on it. I got to get better." He wasn't walking around with his chest puffed out, all high and mighty, hanging on his accolades from the Knicks game. He's really focused on tonight now, so it's going to be exciting to see.
Just out of curiosity, I don't want to indict anybody here, but is that on the player? Or is that on coaching staff not reminding people that you don't have to worry about the driver? Let him go to the hole. Make sure you don't let anybody open in the corner. And we're talking about the Cam Reddish 3 that tied the game and sent it to overtime where Santi went after the wrong guy. Now, he probably will never make that mistake again. But I'm just I don't really know. And again, I'm not trying to point a finger at anybody. Whose fault is that really?
Well, it's hard to say even the word fault. It's even hard to use that word. But I would look, it's definitely on Santi. But as a player, right, and this is something that will come with time with Santi as he continues to just improve his feel. Look, this was his first real meaningful opportunity in the NBA. Yes, he played last year. But again, were those games really meaningful where he's starting or playing a large chunk of the minutes in a close game? Really, no. And so that will improve very quickly. And like you said, Santi's not making that mistake again. But yeah, look, Santi was in the paint, protecting the rim. If I recall correctly, I think it was Brunson that drove in the paint. Roddy got beat. And so it is, in any other possession, right, Dave, it is the big man. It is Santi's job to help when your guard gets beat off the dribble like Roddy did. So human nature as a basketball player, he's doing what he's supposed to do. But now, moving forward, you have to kind of take that to the next level and understand time and score. People always talk about that, and that is exactly applicable in this instance. Understand time and score and understand, okay, you know what? Close out to the corner because I can see in my peripheral Cam Reddish cutting from the weak side over to the left corner. And if Jalen drives in for a 2, that's not going to hurt us. We'd much rather have that than give up an open 3 in the corner.
All right, let me move on to the Clippers last night and Kawhi coming back off the bench, and they've used analytics to figure out if they want him to close, he needs to come off the bench. I thought it was a good use of analytics. I'm not a super analytics guy, but I think this philosophy, when you're coming back from the kind of injury that Kawhi Leonard is coming back from, is really brilliant.
I do too. Ease into it. Don't just throw him out there and give him 30-plus minutes. He played 21 minutes last night, hit some big shots down the stretch, made some great plays. Really, that's a dangerous Clippers team if they have a guy like Kawhi, a healthy Kawhi, coming off the bench. Absolutely worked to their favor, and it was great to see. It was a close game. It was a great game to watch, the two LA teams. The Lakers, look, Westbrook had an abysmal game, and I know he came out and said he feels like he played pretty well. I would say maybe offensively an abysmal game.
Yeah.
But the fact that the Lakers kept it that close, obviously Lonnie Walker, new addition to the Lakers, had a great game. LeBron, 20 points. AD, 25 and 8. So they're not as terrible as some people might think.
Well, they can't
shoot.
The
Lakers on paper.
They cannot shoot. That's their issue. And in today's game, I'm not sure that you can just go inside and muscle guys. They were 10 of 40 against the Warriors from 3. They were 9 of 45 last night against the Clips, who've beaten them 9 times in a row, by the way. And they were 0 for 9 in the fourth quarter from downtown.
They're
that's
definitely
troubling.
They're going to be in the market very quickly, I think, for a wing shooter. They have to add some sort of perimeter shooting for sure. They cannot rely on LeBron and AD with AD's injury history, LeBron's age, obviously. You can't. I hate to say it, you just can't have Russell Westbrook go 0 for 6 from 3, 0 for 11 for the game as your starting point guard, giving you a talent of that nature, of that level, 2 points in 27 minutes. You just can't have that if you're the Lakers. Maybe if you're Orlando, Detroit, Houston, a younger player trying to bring him along, okay. But as a veteran guy like Westbrook, unfortunately, I think that's unacceptable if you're the Lakers. So I think they're going to have to be making some moves here pretty soon. They're off to a tough start for sure, so we'll see what happens with their roster.
He's our agent in Chicago, Priority Sports. That's the one and only Andy Shipman. Thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you next Friday.
All right, thanks, Dave. Have a good weekend.
You too. I got to get this in real quick. Major League Baseball, the Phillies Padres National League Championship Series continues tonight, 6:30. That series tied up at 1-1. Astros have continued their domination up 2-0 over the Yankees. I got to tell you, for those that are going, don't worry, it's going to New York, you better worry if you're a Yankees fan. And I'm going to tell you why. So far, the Yankees and Astros have played 9 times this year. The Yankees have yet to have a lead for a full inning. The Yankees have struck out 30 times in the series. The Astros have struck out only 8 times. And they're doing this with their best player, Altuve, going 0 for 23. They have their number. It's a little like the Clippers over the Lakers. I'm telling you, the Astros are going to win this series. There's no doubt in my mind. Tigers tomorrow, they will be in New Orleans at 2:30, same time that Ole Miss will be at LSU. Broadcast time here on 98.5, and Sports 56 will be 12:30. We'll let you know this final portion of the show is brought to you by the good folks at Grind City and their wonderful Pilsner called Poppy's Pills. That's what the doctor ordered, right? Poppy's Pilsner, which is light, crisp, and refreshing. Great. It's supposed to get to be 80 over the weekend. You're going to want to play a little golf or work outside or whatever it may be. Maybe one of the last times this year you want something refreshing. Get the Pilsner that everybody is talking about. It's ultra crushable. You get it all over town. You get it at the spirit shop. Everywhere they serve and distribute local IPAs, this is where you can find Grind City's Pilsner. Poppy's Pills, what the doctor ordered. Have a great weekend, everybody. Johnny Radio comes your way in a minute. We'll see you on Monday.
I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should